KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Tano Program. Cars Plus, home of Guam's first and only lifetime limited powertrain warranty. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurants, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Ahead on Primetime, it's the next step towards combating the coronavirus on Guam. Sabrina Salas-Metanani has the latest on community testing. Plus, through a Freedom of Information Act request, we find out the 5 healthcare locations that had medical personnel test positive for COVID-19. And the speaker continues to push for mass COVID-19 testing. Chris Barnett has that story coming up.
Half a day and good evening. I'm Adriana Cotero. Before we get to the latest on efforts with containing COVID, a message from one of our frontline heroes.
Half a day. I'm Specialist Jake McCallie with the Guam National Guard, and I am proud to serve the people of Guam. We are in this fight together, and you can help us fight this battle. Please stay home and wash your hands.
We can't express enough gratitude and appreciation to all our frontline heroes. Thank you for keeping everyone safe. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero has announced the Department of Public Health will be launching a pilot program for community testing on Saturday in Estembo, Dededo. The Department of Public Health, the Governor's Physician Advisory Group, in coordination with the Mayor's Council of Guam, is taking steps to expand the island's current testing capability by opening a pilot program on Saturday, April 25th in the housing area of Estembo, Dededo from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
The purpose of this pilot is to identify vulnerable groups for whom testing may not be readily available or accessible, and we will also be allowed to learn and improve our methods.
It will be a multi-agency approach to begin the pilot study that's expected to expand into community testing. Public Health Director Linda Donorsi says the planning stages are underway for the first operation. The plan includes beginning with a small sample size determined through case findings to test individuals with mild to moderate symptoms of COVID-19.
We looked at all the details in terms of how the swaps are going to be done, and are we going to have the perimeters, making certain that it is well secured, making sure that we also have an ambulance there should anybody have any emergencies at that time. We're looking at a drive-through towards that perimeter that we are identifying.
The sample size individuals will be notified by a flyer from Public Health, and over the next few weeks, the pilot program will reach a larger community testing protocol that includes testing 258 individuals per day. State Surgeon and head of the Governor's Physician Advisory Group, Dr. Michael Cruz.
As we do this, there's going to be multiple fronts moving forward to ensure that we have cast a wider net on this community so we can get a better understanding as to the prevalence of the disease so we can safely reopen back our island.
The expanding testing will include anyone with symptoms, frontline and health workers, multi-generational households, and vulnerable populations. The move toward community testing is a signal that Guam is moving into its next phase of combating the coronavirus. According to Dr. Felix Cabrera of the Governor's Physicians Advisory Group, the new game plan going forward is to widen the net in efforts to containment.
At the start of Guam's fight against the virus, Silent residents were told that if you've got COVID symptoms,
just stay at home and isolate.
But now,
you now need to come in to get tested right away.
According to Dr. Felix Cabrera, Guam is now moving into its next phase. Previously, we only had the capacity to run up to 40 tests a day, but now additional machines have been added to Guam's inventory with additional testing capabilities at labs at GMH, GRMC, Public Health, and DLS. The target is to complete at least 258 tests per day with same-day results.
The reason why that number is there is because there's a Harvard School of Public Health study that was published in the New York Times as well that discussed that in order that they believe that in order for the country to start reopening, that every state basically needs to be able to do, every state or territory needs to be able to do 152 tests per 100,000 people. So on Guam, that equates to about 258 tests per day.
With more machines in our arsenal, Guam is ready to pull the trigger on increasing testing capabilities and expanding the criteria for who gets tested.
because this is now a new phase, because we are increasing our testing capacity, and then now we don't have to just do a blanket suppression in terms of telling everybody to stay away. We now need to know exactly what we're dealing with and be able to understand more of what of the people in the community that are positive that we just haven't been able to capture yet. And so that's going to be an extremely important factor in our ability to reopen.
And according to the governor, she plans on finalizing her recovery plan this Friday to begin the slow and gradual process of reopening the territory. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Sabrina Salas, Matanani.
Vice President Pence discussed the administration's suggested guidelines for reopening the state and territorial economies. The main topic was the need for adequate testing capabilities, although Governor Leon Guerrero said they have relaxed the regulations.
If you are a commercial lab that is FDA approved and manufactures, say, the swabs, the test kits, and so forth, and there's a change or an alteration of the swab, the test kit, and so forth, that they can go ahead and do their own manufacturer's validation. They need to still validate it to make sure the test is reliable, the results are reliable, and FDA does not have to come to revalidate them.
The governor reiterated, though, that the governors still retain the decision-making authority over when to reopen their respective economies. While the $1,200 economic stimulus checks are already being paid out on the U.S. mainland, only a small percentage of local residents are getting theirs. Most of the checks can't be mailed out until the U.S. Treasury provides the funding. Nestor Lecanto has more.
During her press briefing today, you may have heard the governor say she is expecting money for the stimulus checks by the first week of May. But to clarify, that's money, according to her spokesperson, to pay back locally advanced stimulus payments, about $11 million. But there's no word yet on when the bulk of the stimulus checks, an estimated 53,000 of them worth $134 million, will be sent out. It depends when the U.S. Treasury Department sends GovGuam the money.
The holdback in this whole thing is the implementation plan, which Daphne had submitted maybe 3 weeks ago. And so we're waiting for that implementation plan to be approved. Once that plan is approved, they will distribute the monies to us, and then we can distribute the checks right away.
But again, the stimulus checks that are going out now are advances from local funding, and they're being sent to the most needy families, those with annual incomes of $10,000 or less. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Will the governor's Economic Recovery Council really include her chief advisor on economic, national, and international affairs? Bipartisan support for two-term former Governor Carl Gutierrez cites his experience in crisis management, but it remains to be seen if he will get a seat at the COVID recovery table. Chris Barnett has more.
On Friday, Governor Leon Guerrero naming her Economic Recovery Council. The council tasked with figuring out how to recover from the economic death blow the COVID crisis has dealt Guam. Governor Leon Guerrero announcing the council will be made up of GITA Deputy Ricky Hernandez, GITA Chair David Johns, the governor's son and Bank of Guam Chair Joaquin Cook, Christine Boleto of the Guam Chamber, Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, GVB Head Pilar Laguatnia, Guam Women's Chamber Chair Holly Rustick, public health officials, and Adelup Chief of Staff Tony Babauta. Noticeably absent from the Economic Recovery Council, the governor's chief advisor on economic, national, and international affairs, former Governor Carl Gutierrez. So KUAM popped the question, would the former two-term governor be a part of this recovery group?
I actually asked our chief of staff to loop in former Governor Carl Gutierrez.
The governor passing the buck to her chief of staff. But whether or not Gutierrez will have a seat at the table or just be in the loop, one former Republican senator says Gutierrez would provide valuable insight and experience. Former Senator Tony Atta saying the recovery panel should also include more diverse voices.
He's been through so many, typhoons, earthquake.
KAL crash, different type of pandemics that have gone throughout the years that he's had many experiences in, and he could have put some valuable input into how we can go ahead and start recovering locally. And in that manner, being the economic advisor to the governor, I think he should have probably been on that board. But not just Governor Gutierrez. I think we should have had more folks from the local economy, a hotel and the hotel and tourism industry.
Right.
We should have had folks from, the small business owners, a few of them.
Yeah.
I mean, just so that we can get a gauge of what's going on out here in the economy and how it's affecting our people. And
meanwhile, Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes also chimed in, giving her support for Gutierrez. She served as a cabinet member during his administration.
He's a very hard worker, and if both governors are going to work together, we'll continue to work closely with them. But I think it's important to know that during the economic crisis, during the earthquakes, during the storms, that former Governor Carl Gutierrez was a man who worked really, really hard and made sure that the people realized that he was going to make sure that they take care of them the same way this governor and Lieutenant Governor are working to make sure that our community is safe.
Meanwhile, sources on the governor's Business Advisory Council say Gutierrez wasn't included in that council either. The Business Advisory Group presenting ideas on reopening the island to the Recovery Council on Friday. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
23 medical personnel have tested positive for COVID-19 from 5 healthcare locations. This new information was presented in the Department of Public Health's response to a Freedom of Information Act request. Here's more. On April 17th, Vigilance Committee President Michelle Armenta sent a Freedom of Information Act request to the Department of Public Health. Armenta was seeking information on the 2 previously unnamed healthcare setting cluster, where 17 confirmed COVID cases were identified.
I was actually very offended because, mostly because, the whole purpose of the committee is to make sure that we get the information out, make sure that everybody, that the government is being transparent.
Earlier this month, KUAM first asked Public Health Director Linda DeNorsi to identify the healthcare locations immediately after they released the 7 cluster settings.
Looking at these clusters, the most confirmed cases, being 17, are from 2 healthcare setting locations. Can you identify these locations as you did with the other group settings? You said the church's name, the United Airlines, and others.
Yeah, right now I don't want to name them, but I can tell you the time period that first setting is and the date.
Is there a reason why you can't name them?
It's because, again, these are private businesses, and I just want to make certain that the anonymity is ensured.
DeNorsi declined to identify the locations, but did say at the first setting there were 5 positive cases, and that business was closed before March 28th. As for the other location,
and then the second area is 12 positive cases. That's the best I can give you.
The FOIA response includes an isolation unit spreadsheet from April 17th. Patient names were not provided, but the spreadsheet presents 5 medical clinics have been infected, making for a total of 23 COVID confirmed cases. This includes 12 cases from Guam Memorial Hospital, 2 cases from the Guam Regional Medical City, 6 cases from Health Services of the Pacific, 2 cases from Seventh-day Adventist Guam Clinic, and 1 case from FHP. After obtaining this information, Armenta says, "Thank goodness we have the open government law."
Thank goodness we have the Sunshine Reform Act. We need to, the whole purpose of this is to protect the public. And when you give information that is pertinent to the health and the well-being and the lives of the public, and part of it is given and another part is not, and you don't even know why. Well, the reason is because, these are private companies. Well, the other companies that you listed were private as well. Now when we have some answers, now we can move forward with what needs to be done.
Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes continues to push for mass COVID-19 testing, even after a plan to push for the use of South Korean test kits on Guam was initially shot down by the governor and her physicians team. Chris Barnett has more.
Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes saying our island is late to the South Korean COVID-19 test kit party.
All these medical test kits are going to the United States. FEMA's buying them. a lot of states in the nation are starting to utilize them. What about here on Guam, as we are a U.S. Jurisdiction?
The governor, through her physicians advisory group last week, shooting down a proposal from the speaker and former Senator Dennis Rodriguez to start mass community testing on Guam using test kits from South Korea. The governor and her doctors group saying those test kits are not FDA approved. Well, guess what? Technically, neither are the test kits Guam is using right now. But Speaker Barnes said 2 Korean companies have been granted emergency use authorizations from the FDA. That means what the governor had called a dead issue may in fact still be alive and kicking.
Please look at what is being accepted by FDA and what the feds are doing. And if we can have that opportunity to buy more test kits, let's do it. I know that there are several businesses here on Guam that have shared with us that they've asked, and some of them haven't gotten responses back yet. If we do mass testing, it would give us a better or more accurate account of what we need to do to flatten the curve. And you know, Sabrina and Chris, when the last several days or last 4 or 5 days, I keep hearing zero results, and though I know that is very positive news, I really believe in my heart that if we don't take the opportunity to look at the bigger picture and testing a lot more, I know that there may be a possibility that we may have missed somebody.
The speaker said the news that 2 South Korean test kit companies have received preliminary approval from the FDA through EUAs, meaning Guam could be following in the CNMI's footsteps.
For me, that was good news, because that would open up the opportunity for our island of Guam to look at and emulate what our brothers and sisters from NMI are doing to help try and test all their residents.
Meanwhile, Speaker Barnes said procuring tens of thousands of test kits to conduct mass community testing and widening the criteria for those who want to be tested are key components to flattening the curve. She also said she plans to continue pushing this issue with the governor. For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
The number of USS Theodore Roosevelt sailors that have tested positive for COVID-19 has risen to 678, while 3,904 are negative and a little over 4,000 sailors have been moved ashore. 8 sailors remain at the Naval Hospital Guam, with 1 still in the ICU. As we reported, Joint Region Marianas Commander Rear Admiral John Manoni confirmed that a number of sailors who are in quarantine in 2-month hotels who first tested negative have since tested positive. Additionally, the Navy, in conjunction with the CDC, has begun a serology study into the outbreak aboard the carrier. The findings aren't expected to be completed for about 1 month. During the governor's press briefing today, state surgeon and head of the governor's physician advisory group, Dr. Michael Cruz, hinted at new data which he hopes to be released to the public tomorrow. He said a new projection model with input from FEMA and Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab shows a 60% decrease spread rate, which pushes and flattens the curve.
So that any peak that we may have may actually happen later in the fall, probably towards September or October timeframe. And that allows us then to meet the needs as far as our hospital resources.
The new model will factor in the implementation of the governor's social distancing measures. Stick around for more news here on Primetime. You're watching KUAM.
We are open to serve you at Cars Plus Guam. Need a quick service for your vehicle? Visit our express lane at Cars Plus. Done fast, done right. No appointment needed. Our service team is dedicated to helping you get your vehicle in and out of the shop and back on the road quickly and securely. Simply drop off your vehicle at our express lane driveway, and one of our service advisors will take care of it. Need a ride? Not to worry. We have a shuttle vehicle ready to drop you back home and pick you up when your vehicle is ready. Open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Visit us today. We are open to serve you.
Hafa, I'm Bernie Valencia with Matson. Our local Matson team understands that these are very trying times for everyone. Matson's top priority, like yours, is to keep our families safe and healthy and ensure you have what you need. We'd like to give you peace of mind that Matson's service continues on schedule and uninterrupted. Matson is committed to our weekly service from the United States West Coast to Honolulu into Guam and Saipan. We are working with the Port Authority of Guam and providing the capacity and services our customers need so they can continue to meet your needs. Matson will take all appropriate measures to ensure continuity of service into Guam and Saipan. When we work together to take care of our family and neighbors, we will emerge from this as a stronger island community.
This public service announcement was brought to you by the Port Authority of Guam, KUAM Communications, and Matson.
We value relationships because when we commit,
I love you guys until you're 80, until you're 90, until you're 100, forever.
we are in it for the long run. So you can enjoy the moments that matter. Because when we commit to relationships, we never stop caring. Calvo's Select Care, health care that is always there for you.
Morning, 2 coffees and 4 orders of those new donut sticks.
You must really love these donut sticks.
I do, but they're not for me. They're for them.
Meet me in the middle. I'm losing my mind.
I will take a coffee, though.
Introducing new cinnamon sugar donut sticks from McCafe, made fresh every morning. It's a little sweet to go with your coffee.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
As testing capabilities ramp up on the island of Saipan, CNMI Governor Ralph Torres calls for a unified economic response to the island's unprecedented challenges. Our Tomas Manglotnia reports on the Fiscal Response Task Force crunching the numbers to address the crisis.
As a region response to the public health crisis, Governor Ralph Torres also focusing on the NMI's fiscal crisis. The governor announcing an online summit with leaders of all 3 branches from April 22nd to April 27th. He says it will inform his administration's fiscal reform. A new briefing paper provides a modified look at the original $233 million budget for fiscal year 2020 operations. New reflections show the total is now $168 million. The report prepared by the Governor's Fiscal Response Task Force projects $64.8 million in deficit, $42.3 million of which is from COVID-19 direct revenue shortfall. They know that these challenges come with only half the fiscal year remaining. The Governor's office telling KUAM that a loss of tourism caused by COVID-19 and the Governor's request to suspend flights from China in late January resulted in a loss of 40% of the overall economy. The task force assumes travelers from South Korea will return to the NMI in April of next year. They expect visitors from China with some return to normalcy in December 2021. Governor Torres reiterating that it's clear that in response to this unprecedented challenge, the community must come together to chart a path forward for its government in new and innovative ways. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tomas Manglotnia.
Tomas adds that the summit slated to take place tomorrow is now postponed to Thursday due to data and technical issues. As of April 20th, 11 of the 14 confirmed cases in the NMI have recovered. And the Guam Fire Department has established 2 COVID transport units dedicated to transporting symptomatic but stable patients. The units will be operating out of Estambo and Zonja. GFD leaders say this will extend the sustainability of response efforts and reduce the risk of exposure to first responders and emergency response vehicles. Ultimately, it will help decrease the crisis workload so ambulances can be utilized for emergency calls. And many are taking up new hobbies to pass the time while stuck in their homes. In tonight's Health Check, we show you how gardening is becoming a popular trend that can also help your mental and physical health.
Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
I've got a bunch of things here that I've started, all from seeds.
Avi Haas's newest hobby is slowly sprouting new life.
I used an old oat milk container for spinach.
When her lockdown began, Avi decided it was finally time to create the garden she'd long hoped to grow. Even with limited space, she was able to create both traditional and hydroponic planting stations.
It gives me something to look forward to. I get to wake up and hopefully see a little bit of progress.
Gardening isn't just a way to pass the time. Researchers say it can also help boost your health.
With
the obvious stresses and anxieties that we're all facing, this is a wonderful mental outlet.
Dr. Angela Caddick at Baylor College of Medicine says gardening indoors or out can help reduce stress and cortisol levels. She says it can also have cardiovascular benefits, especially in older adults.
Just getting out, being in the yard, working among flowers or vegetable gardening is good for our strength and our flexibility.
I've got romaine lettuce, more tomatoes.
Avi says seeing the changes in her apartment garden is a satisfying way to mark the days.
It's a novelty, obviously, what I'm doing in my apartment, but if I could have, again, like some lettuce and tomatoes, by the end of this thing, I'll be super proud of myself.
A growing hobby helping her navigate a trying time. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Health Check is presented by Island Cancer Center.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up, Dave Delgado has your day in sports.
Encourage creativity.
Hey Google, how far is it to the moon?
The moon is about 238,900 miles from Earth.
Because dreams start at home.
Today we start with you.
Ruby Tuesday Guam is still preparing the dishes you love for either curbside carryout or delivery. Call them at 647-7828 or 647-7829 for curbside carryout service with a smile. For delivery, download the free Grab and Grub app and follow the instructions to get Ruby Tuesdays delivered to your door. Stay safe and healthy, Guam.
Just wash it later, bro. Or ask your mommy to do it for you since you still live at home.
Yeah. I don't even know how to do my own laundry.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. We get the show started tonight with some rugby news on Angelica Cabot, who plays for the St. Mary's squad out in the Bay. She was a walk-on freshman. Check it out.
With rugby, we were looking forward to finishing up our final game of the season, but that didn't happen. Our season was cut short, and we're really taking this time to really focus on ourselves so that we can come back even stronger next season. I'm really happy to be back home in the comfort and safety of my family here at home.
Angelica has been playing rugby since middle school, suiting up for Bishop and then Academy in high school. She says there's a lot of untapped and really great talent here on island. Other female players from Guam who played at St. Mary's include Amara Borja, Celine Calvo, Melva Calvo, and Maria Scroll. Angelica was a freshman walk-on who became a starter in her first season at the Division II school.
I really didn't know what to expect, especially with the team, who I'd be playing with, who I'd be going against. And it was really intimidating for me also having to transition from playing sevens rugby to 15s rugby, which I found to be barely different. It's the same game. Rugby is rugby. You tackle hard, you run hard. My coach, he put me in different positions. I was finally settled into the forward position, which I play the hook for the team. And I really surprised myself with the things I could do with being able to score a spot in the starting lineup and helping my team with the scoring and defense. And I really owe it all to my Guam rugby experience.
Angelica scored 4 tries this season and started every game for the Gals. She was also nominated by her coach as a candidate for the West Coast All-Stars. Cabot made the Rugby Post as a player to look out for in the coming years. For now, the team has been in communication through Zoom, and workouts can be accessed through the Team Builder app.
it's easy to access. You can access it at your own time, so that is easy. I've also been doing cardio workouts with my mom in the morning through a Facebook Live by the Guam Urban Studio. So I think keeping in shape is a big factor if I want to come back next season even stronger. It has a lot to do with what goes on mentally. You really should take this time to think about where you want to be, think about your goals and what you want to achieve for the next season. So I think it's mostly mental preparation as of right now, because we're all in quarantine.
In basketball news, players from the Yellow Jackets and Team Elite put together a video clip of themselves showing off their dribbling skills. Some of them have moved off island but still stay connected through social media. Pretty good for the 8 to 10-year-olds who love the game.
We are with you. At times when you need us most, you can count on us to be there. When you need someone to talk to. When you need to stay informed. When you need to brighten your day. When you need to stay connected. We are here keeping our promise that while the world is changing, we keep working so you can keep connecting. We are your Docomo Pacific family, and we are here to help.
Before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
Okay, everybody, it is April the 21st, and so we say happy birthday to Faye Taimango Cabrera. Hey, Faye, and happy birthday, Auntie Faye. Love, your favorite niece, Lori, and the Cabrera familia. Veronica Basilio turns 19 today, and your family is giving you all the birthday love in the world. From Jigo T-Matic and all points in between, we hope you have a great number 19 birthday. Roki H. Cruz, there are many Roki Cruz on Ron, but Roki H. Cruz celebrates birthday number 48 to an amazing man. May your days in life be filled with lots of love and joy and happiness, with lots of loving kisses from your family and friends. Avia Alianza, happy birthday to you from Mommy and Daddy and your siblings and from your Rios and Babalta families. And happy birthday to the matriarch of our family, Lucy G. Taichino, the queen of our hearts. We love you, Mama. Grandmama, Nina, our 81 years of blessing. That is awesome. Happy birthday, Lucy. And also to Derek Jintapanan. Happy birthday from your entire family. Hope all of you had an awesome birthday.
Remember, you can be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by registering online on KUAM.com. Please make sure to include with your photo your name and birthday. That's going to do it for us here on Prime Time. Thank you for watching. Have a good night and be safe.
Let's keep it going.